Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this series of shows, New Life with Rav Leitman. Hello, Rav Leitman. Hello, everyone. Hello, Nitsa. Hello. We're sitting here at the studio and talking about life, a new life, a good life, the kind of life that each of one of us would want to reach. And for now, during these current shows, we will talk about the intimate relations that we have with our partners, our mates, and from show to show, we learn from the Rav Leitman how we can relate today in a completely new way to this relationship, but also to life itself, and from a new perception, from the new relation to myself and to everyone around me, to reach new achievement in a new life, a truly new life. In continuance to our previous meetings, Rav Leitman, we have many new questions, and we'd like to begin from that. A meeting of questions. That's right. So maybe Nitsa should start to lead us. So we'll start with the questions that have to do with all crimes shall be covered by love. And we spoke about the mirror and how my ego is mirrored in others. And when we talked about it after the show and also with others, with friends, many questions came up. And the first question is, in order to rise above anger or an upset that a person is in, it requires a lot of control of my impulses. And I feel that my impulses are in control of me and not the other way around. So how can I actually control them? This is also a habit. It's possible to do so if we see such examples outside of us, and if my partner, my mate, transmits this vibe to me. And this is how we constantly live. It should be a constant wave of relationships between us, that I constantly hold myself above my ego. I want to reach a state that through these exercises, my attitude towards others in general, and my romantic partner is the closest of all. So the way I relate to others should be love thy neighbor as thyself, because they say that through this we'll reach a life that's a dream, paradise. So we see that this is what is required from us. Nature and all the chaos that we are experiencing today shows that it all depends on as much support that we can get from the general environment and also from my personal, the smaller environment around me, so that if we relate to each other in such a way, not that we just act at it or play at it and that's it, that when we are angry, are we more natural? Are we more real? Right, I take everything out from what I have inside, but that doesn't really help. It's better if we understand what's inside us, and together with that, and above it, just like floating wood on water, above the waves, like a small piece of wood that's going up and down, bobbing up and down with the waves, and even if they go by, back and forth, we see that this piece of wood stays afloat. So this is how I should feel myself. I feel all of my internal impulses, all the anger and pride and jealousy and lust and respect and everything that I feel that I demand and I hate the person standing in front of me. That doesn't matter, because together with that, I'm constantly above it. Rise myself above it, constantly trying to hold myself up. In this way, I become a psychologist to myself. And when I hold myself up in this way, towards myself and towards others, I make an additional effort in that I desire to feel the other person's desire and to fill him up and to support him. And so if I work with my ego and I don't erase it, the bigger it gets, I have more work to do. and possibly the result will be better because we see that we've grown through our ego. Even now, we continue to grow through our ego, except that it's using our ego in the direction of exiting myself towards others, to others. So I begin to acquire in this exit out to others these great vessels of the world, the desires that exist outside of me and others, and through that I can perceive or absorb these qualities from others, their desires, their thoughts, what's inside them, what they themselves, these possibly little egoists, don't perceive, but me by exiting myself, going above myself in this good relation towards them, I begin to perceive and absorb everything outside of them that's outside me, inside others, with all of their internality. So it turns out that here we arrive at this creation of such an addition to a person that he begins to be as great as humanity itself. And this is possible. It's possible that this would be the goal of this condition of love thy neighbor as thyself, because by doing it, you proceed and acquire and attain the entire world, the entire world. So once again, there's work here on two sources. My source, which I rise above, my egoistic source, I have to rise above it, and the source of others, for example, my wife, that I take her desires and everything that she expects from me and begin to fill them. If we do this correctly, we don't just bloat ourselves or give in and become suckers. We actually arrive at this level of a playground that's an upper playground, not just like on the level of our ego, but as two people who are integrated with each other. I rise above myself and am integrated with her, and then I receive from her all the desires and qualities that are in her, and she does the same with me. And then it comes out that we're both integrated with each other, and in this way we begin to practice and get used to a state in which we don't need to speak. We understand because each of us has the image of the other within him. We begin to understand each other without words. We begin to feel each other in our internality in such a way that we truly become one. So what you just described, I felt that it's like a process that I will need to begin to create step by steps, gradually. But there's some steps here that I'm not even sure where do I start. At the course. So at this course, will we receive these steps? Well, first of all, the explanations about our nature, about our relationships, about how this network connects us together, and about free choice, about how the ego grows, about the system of how one man helps the other and how we grow through the environment, how I need to bend myself towards others, or even to become equal or be above them, how I need to respect them and value them in order to receive the importance of the goal and to be integrated with everyone, etc., etc. There are all kinds of things here. But all these things and all the other things that we're going to learn, by that we actually talked about it and read about it in the articles of my teacher. The most important thing is the workshops, where in 4 eyes or 10 eyes, doesn't matter how many, we sit and through speech, through discussion, we try to feel this process. How can we build it? And these workshops, they're built through this special process that the person who guides these workshops, the teacher, gives us questions for discussion or topics gradually, which open us in our thoughts, in our desires, in our different impulses. And then we need to cope and see, how do I see them within me? How do I see it in others? How does the other see them in me? How can we rise above all of these things? We also need to learn the phenomena itself, but especially how to rise above it. And I try a few times. You know how a cat jumps? It stands on the ground, it tries to jump on the desk. So he tries a little more, a little more, a little more, and then it jumps. This is how we need to do these exercises, and then we will jump correctly. So in this workshop, there will be a theoretical part, and yes, especially what's important is these discussions between us where we get to know each other better, and most importantly, we speak and we put out things from within us, all of our doubts and problems and things that are unpleasant that maybe we should talk about them or not. How am I going to rise above it? Will I still be a man, or maybe a man is someone who overcomes and not someone who stays under his desires and impulses, but a hero is one who overcomes his desire. So here we need to see the weakness of a person and also his true ability to overcome. So we see people on the street that they shout and get angry, and I see even little children that each one wants to show how egoistic, the more egoistic he is. And here we need to show that actually we're heroes, giborim, from the word itgabrut, from the word to overcome. And we need to speak a lot about this. And we need to be very open and direct, because in this mutual work, this is where we begin to feel each other, so that there will never be a complaint that you don't speak to me. It's like something that a woman usually complains about because she lacks it. And a man won't need to talk to her, because in such workshops, in these workshops, we will reach such a state that we'll feel each other from within. We have a lot of internal communication. It's like people who, well, for example, I live with my wife. I've been living here for 45 years. So how much do we really need to talk? Barely at all. We do it for it's in a ceremonial way, but actually, if we had been together for a year or two, then maybe we would talk a lot. And here we know each other so well that there is a certain internal dialogue. And it's the same here. And it connects people very much. And if we're talking about the problems of the world, that if we rise above a little bit, the family, to society, to the country, our state, to the world itself, then all of our problems come from the incorrect relationship between people, economics, finances. In parts of the world, people are starving. In other parts, they're overweight, and there's inequality, imbalance, etc., etc. So it's all because of a lack of correct connection or relationship. And so it's clear to us that if we continue from the family arena onwards, we will succeed, and greatly so. So the correct path is actually to begin in our relationships. And this is also what I felt also in our last meeting when you began to talk about society and something a little far. I felt that, yes, it's true, but it's a bit far from me, because right now I'm concerned about my relationship, my family, my home. It's hard for me to think about other people. Well, you're correct. But if we take into consideration that only half of humans today are married, then we won't reach through partnerships or relationships to uh, romantic relationships to the world. I mean, half of the people who are in the right age to be in a partnership. So it's a quite a small number. And what about the older people and the younger people? And even the people who are in this age for family, only half of them are in actual family situations. So if you talked about two different sources, my inner source and the source from that comes from others. So what do you mean by source? My source is my ego, my desires. The source of my partner is her desires. Desires, I mean, all kinds of urges and qualities and impulses, her internal worlds. So then there's my internal world above which I need to rise, and her internal world which I need to purchase, so that I will have two within me. Okay, the internal world. So now it's a little more clear. So maybe you've already answered my question. So there's my internal world and the world of my partner. Yes. So then if we try to feel one another, and you also spoke of feeling the other, then finally we become integrated with each other, and I purchase her entire internal world. Is that what I purchase? Because I ask myself, why should I have all of her thoughts and desires? You said I begin to grow through love thy neighbor as thyself. I begin to grow. I begin to feel all the desires and qualities of you and her. What do I need all this for? That's what I ask myself. So now you said my internal world. Why? For the same reason. It's called to love, right? That's what you feel. Yes, when he feels my desires, I feel that he loves me. Whoa, whoa, slow, slow. So I have my internal world, and there's her entire world, internal world. So you need to fill her ego above your ego to fulfill what she wants. Yes, and mutually. What do I gain from this? You said I'll purchase something. What am I purchasing? By that, you rise above your nature. You become free from your desire, free from your desire, your egoistic desire, and you begin to work for the sake or the good of others. When you truly transcend yourself and want to become closer to the good of others, here you will feel a problem. First of all, at first maybe it will work for a very short time, and then later you'll feel, even though I'd like to, I'm not able to. It's completely unrealistic. What are we going to do? We'll toss it away, we'll go back to our regular life, or we'll solve this problem. First of all, is it worth it for me to continue on this path or not? If I wait and check what happens, I'll see that my life becomes more and more become worse and oblige me to continue on this path to transcend myself and connect to others. This is what we see in the crisis today towards the entire world, that we don't want to connect, we don't want to transcend our egos, we settle with protectionism, which means that each one thinks of himself. Yes, we know that well. So we are obliged to create life. Yes. So then we see that life becomes worse until we have no choice, even after blows that we receive between us or even wars between peoples, no matter what level we're talking about, we're going to reach a state where we have no choice. Nature is evolving us into a state where we either destroy ourselves, like within a family or between states, or we need to rise above our own ego. But where will we take the power to do this? Because this is our nature. What do we do? And here we have an example that's tangible from our world. I want to lose weight. I go to this place that's called maybe Weight Watchers. There are all kinds of names, all kinds of types. What do they actually do there? They just talk. But the main thing is that you have peer pressure. You have the pressure of society on you. Is this true, a psychologist? Yes, that's the main thing. That the entire environment or society begins to appreciate being thin, the person who is thin. And everyone talks about how much I lost weight, how much did they lose weight, how thin I am, how thin they are. And I receive impressions from this. And this gives me power because the opinion of society, of the environment, affects us because we're human. This is how we're built. We're very, very weak when it comes to the opinion of the environment. I'm even willing to kill myself. I'm willing to do everything only so that the environment will respect me, will value me, will see me as great, as beautiful. It's above my life, above life. I'm telling you, you should write this down, that if you want for a person to kill himself, we can organize such an environment that he will do this. Really, we have such sites on the internet that teach a person how to die and bring a person to a state in which he decides that yes, I should. And at first he wasn't there. He didn't even think about it. And it's a so-called unnatural thing against my ego. No, the opinion of the society is stronger than my ego, and there's nothing I can do about it. I go and want to die or receive such values that make me think that I should jump off a tower. That's it. And there are no limitations here. I can organize around each and every one such an environment, such a society, that it will brainwash him and make people do whatever this environment wants. Anything. How does this help me in my personal relationship? That you need an environment if you don't have this power. You just need an environment. That's it. No more. You need an environment which will influence you in such a way that you'll feel that transcending and letting go of your ego and relating to others, that's respected. That's great. That makes you special. We value you. We respect you. You're a person. You're, in short, to give you respect, to give you fulfillment, so that you'll feel yourself above others. Because they're not giving you, this is the egoistic fulfillment, to be above others. But what is this egoistic fulfillment? What do they tell you? You should let go of your ego. You understand? This is the helpmeet other. Who? This ego. That's how it works. In this way that I myself am just an egoist. I have nothing else but my ego. We're all egoists, aren't we? Yes, 100%. But if I have my ego go through society, it can run my ego in such a way that I'll be able to transcend it and get rid of it. Let's say I succeed at all these things. Well, what will I gain from it? What will I feel? Wait a minute. We're not talking about what I feel right now. What we're saying is that we try to transcend and to reach this good partnership, but we did not succeed so far in our life. Yes? And then you go to society. How will we call this? Let's say not Weight Watchers, but Family Watchers. That's it. So then we receive from them, from this environment, support or respect or strength. I understood that. So the environment supports me. So first of all, we become like two doves. That each person is like lovey-dovey towards the other. Lovey-dovey. But how does this happen suddenly? Because we receive a certain brainwashing from them that this is how you need to live. But these family watchers, they began together with us. I don't think they understand. Yes, but now all of us together are influencing each other. And that is why we behave this way. So the societal opinion will influence everyone. We just need to organize it correctly, this environment. But undoubtedly, we will succeed here. This is the crane. It's the only tool or means that we have. If we're able to organize such an environment that will influence us, we'll succeed. If not, not. You're actually our guide here in this group. We say our group of 5 couples, and you're our guide. We give you the credit. If you are able to organize us in this way, we'll succeed. If no, then we won't. We're for it, but we're going with you. We're flowing with you. You're the first, so we are after you. Okay. So another question, and you also gave us homework last time. I can say that I personally, and also Nitsa told us that it happened at her home. We talked about these ideas that we spoke of yesterday with our personal partners, and we talked about these things, and a lot of questions arise. For example, one question that came up from a lot of people who watched it, also other friends who saw the taped videos. So one of the friends said that this approach of the mirror, he said to always look at the other as my mirror. That's one of the exercises. Yesterday was the main exercise because the questions are about what happened yesterday. So this approach of seeing the other as a mirror, and that what happens with the other is a mirror of my personal flaws. It's not that I need to look at my partner's face, but I need to think that what I see in her that doesn't seem correct to me or perfect to me, it's my own flaws that are reflected in this way. Not physically. Yes, yes, of course. So what I don't see complete in her behavior shows my own flaws. So my friend told me that what happens is it's constantly returning me back into myself. So it seems that I'm in a couple, but this mirror is always bringing me back to myself and isolating me in some way. No, it doesn't isolate you because you transcend. But because it's personal, internal work that I do with myself, then there is no actually interaction with her. There's no connection to her. No, with this, there is no interaction. Yeah, so it's like the opposite of connection. But there is the other half. So explain a little bit. What is this other half? Okay, let's begin from zero. I look at her. I see in her all kinds of faults. I begin to understand that these are my own flaws, that he who places fault in others is actually his own flaws. So I return to myself and say that this is in me, and if I had been perfect, I wouldn't see this in her. What does this mean? If I would have love her, I wouldn't see any flaw in her at all. How is that possible? Like a mother with a child. Very simple. She doesn't see. This is natural love in which she doesn't see flaws. And even if she sees them, perhaps, she loves them. That's it. It's like at the beginning of a partnership. Then it's, even if there are flaws, you don't really see them. You see only the good. So what happens on the way that this turns around? So we only talk about the actual relationship. The first months we don't even talk about. We're talking about the time that's stable. There are a few flaws here and there, but first of all, I begin to see that these flaws within me are flaws of a lack of love towards my partner. That's the first thing. So I need to transcend within me to such a state that I will not see the flaws in her, just like a mother towards a child. That's called that I transcended my ego. I rose above my ego. So I, towards my partner, measured within myself where I am and how far I need to rise in order to transcend myself, to go above myself. So here I have a partner that helps me to rise above my own nature. What such a property that I have, such a treasure, such a tool that I have in my home before me. So I rose above my ego. It's a facility that I have in my home, not a tool. So by rising above myself, and before I saw that this person in front of me is like a mirror. Now, we continue. When I transcended myself, I did not work with my own desires and qualities. What do I do now? So now, from this neutral state, I begin to try to feel, to check, to understand the desires, the qualities, the goals of the other, of my partner or spouse, let's say. So to attempt to receive these, to accept these as the most important for me, that I live in order to fulfill them. I try to do this, and maybe when we reach such a mutual state, it will be a very good life. But I can't hold myself up like this. It's difficult. It's enormous efforts. I can do this for a few minutes, but afterwards I say, leave me alone. I want to rest. It's impossible. It's enormous efforts. If egoistically we think of ourselves without any problem. Nature gives us the fuel all the time. We have this internal engine that works from morning to night and also when we sleep. Here, I need enormous powers and horrible efforts that I'm not able to do this. What do we do? Then we reach a state, the third decision. The first was I transcended my ego. The second, I received the ego of the other instead of my ego. I see that I'm not able to hold this up, to continue this. I need an environment. What is an environment? I need a power giver or importance, or maybe that's exactly the same thing, that he will give me. It will give me such importance in working above my ego and for others. Such a power supply, the environment can give it to me. And then I'll feel free even more than when I was taking care of myself, by taking care of others. Just like that. Feeling like I don't have to care about anything at all. Such freedom, such rest. First of all, I don't feel any problems because I've transcended my nature. I experience myself in a world that is completely good. I care for others and alone. I'm free. I'm flying in the air like a bird. This is how I feel. If I receive from others the fuel, the importance, this impulse. And therefore, the entire problem here for us, from the start actually, you don't need to wait for the third stage, but from the start, is to begin to arrange the environment in which each and every one will be able to receive fulfillment for this work that is called above reason or above the ego. That's it. And this we need to organize. Now, how do we organize this? We take couples and we begin to work with them. Well, we are the couples. We are 5 couples. So we, with these exercises and discussions and dialogues, well, where do these Weight Watchers come from? It's people who want to lose weight. They don't know what to do. They just want to do it very much. So 20 or 30 people influence each other, and then a person feels that he has strength and importance and pressure. So I hope very much that you will guide us in this process. We also don't know how to do it, but we want something good to happen. Very well, so we'll succeed. So I want to just say, is there a difference, or maybe there isn't a difference between a group of Weight Watchers that have one goal to lose weight? What is the goal of our group? Is our goal to build a good relationship? That's my purpose, to build a good relationship. That's right. So all of us, all these couples, will look at your relationship and give your relationship power to hold yourselves up above your mutual ego, to be in mutual love and mutual bestowal. And they will constantly give you importance and power and supply you with all the means in order to be above the ego. How do I know? But look, many couples are supplying this to you. Let's say 5, 10, 50, no matter. Of course, the more there are, it's better. And the more power they give you, the more you're all connected also is also beneficial. So I feel that I need to make a very great effort to attain something that I'm not even sure that it's the way. There's so many techniques and so many methods to have a good relationship. And here you're saying rise above your ego and you'll have a good relationship. But right now, well, you don't know that yet. You haven't reached such a consciousness or awareness that your nature is actually what's the barrier between you and a good life. That's right, I don't even understand what the ego is. It's your nature, no matter. Ask your spouse, he'll tell you. He'll tell you immediately, just like you can tell him who he is. That's all. That's your ego. What each person thinks badly of others, what the other needs to improve at, that's your ego. What you think of him, that's your ego. You see negative things in him, and your ego is a mirror, right? That's it. So everything that I see on the other side, I identify it as mine, for sure. Yes, for sure. Even if I see in him things that I don't think they're mine, I don't feel that they're mine. It's certain that you don't think they're yours. You know that this is something you have from your mother, and this is from your grandfather, and this is from here and here, and you're like that and like that, and ta 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 ta. You even tell him the history of where he gets it from. It's all yours. This is something I still need to digest. It's difficult to digest. No matter, no matter. You want to get rid of this judgmental judgment. You want to accept it as things that you need to transcend or rise above. We won't even speak about this being your ego. When you see negative things in him, you need to rise above it. When we talk about the ego, it sounds a little more professional or specific. Maybe we shouldn't talk about these details. What I see him as negative, I rise above it. What he sees in me as negative, he rises above. We relate to each other as if if the other is perfect. My partner is perfect. That's it. And what do I want? I want only to fulfill him. What does he want? I'm willing to do everything for him. What do I want? He's willing to do everything that I want for me. If we have the fuel for that, we will do it. And then we will demand from each other things that from morning till dusk we will be slaves to each other. But no, it's the opposite, because out of love, I demand barely nothing from him. I'm willing to do everything for him, and he's the same for me. So turns out that we enjoy even the smallest things, the most simple things, and from that we have great, enormous pleasure, mutual pleasure. That's it. And not that I need to buy expensive presents and do something, I don't know what. No, it's enough. Even this internal feeling that fills us up and in such a way, completes us in such a way that it's enough for us. Just as if you would be willing to live with him in such an apartment, and I don't know what conditions, as long as you're with him, that's how you feel now. That's called that all crimes will be covered by love. There is no fault or flaw or lack that you cannot fill with love. Now, there are additional things here that we spoke about in between the words. What do we gain in addition by transcending ourselves and integrating inside the other? By this, we achieve or attain this special technique of connecting to others or to what's outside of me. And then, in this way, I can reach this connection to the entirety of humanity, to everyone. And by that, I attain qualities, desires, thoughts, all the intensity and power that exists in all people. And when I transcend myself, when the ego doesn't hide the world from me, when I only wanted to use it as much as I can to steal, to absorb into myself, now that I rise above my ego, I exist within the world. I expand and am in all of them. I'm willing to cover them all in goodness. I'm like their mother. I begin to feel them, their properties, their qualities, their desires, their thoughts, everything. This power, it becomes my power. So I begin to, instead of my small ego, to receive these desires and qualities of the entire world. I become great through this. And unlimited, actually. There's a certain psychological change or transformation in my perception of reality. Before, I was always focusing on what's for my good, and here, when I exit myself, I become to sift reality through this what's good for others. And I begin to live within them. It's as if I've risen above, transcended my egoistic donkey, the material, and I've achieved this new image. And by that, I begin to perceive a new world that is unlimited, opposite, different. In my integral internal vessels that I now attain, these new vessels, I can include in myself the entire world and see how I can benefit all of them. This is what we lack so much today in trade, in finance, in economics, that we don't know how to build this one pattern or vessel for the entire world. And that's why we don't succeed. And when I go out to the world in this way, I am able, when I have such a perception, I am able to do it. This helps me become a successful person everywhere I go. In the integral education, like we speak of course, but also everywhere you work with the systems of relationships between people in banks, in unions, in governments, everything. So then I become now a person that fits, that is compatible to a society going through crisis and arriving at such a state in which it's connected, it exists in this general crisis. So then we begin by that to harmonize ourselves, make ourselves compatible with the new world. Another question that came up from what we spoke of, you made this new definition. You gave this new definition of rising above our judgment of others. That's very clear because we always have judgments towards our partners. Because when you say rising above our ego, that's a little abstract. It's hard to understand. So I wrote that down as key. What I need to do is transcend my judgments towards others. And also, in continuous to what you said yesterday, a person always needs to keep these judgments within you, not to talk about them. And you know what happens when someone doesn't speak what he feels? In the end, you get an ulcer because I blow up already. And you say, no, don't say it. It's all a mirror. It's all inside you. It's all your flaws. I was now on the street on a meeting. I saw lots of people. This was an opportunity for me to observe. Why is it that when I observe each and every person, why do I judge them? Why do I see them judgmentally? It happens. I don't do it on purpose. There are things. It's life. That's right. So now, every moment, you have an opportunity to transcend, rise above, more and more and more, to see in others, instead of the negative things, positive things. It's as if you exchange. Each time you see someone as, what a bad boy. No, it's my child. I thought it was the neighbor's child. Oh, he's so sweet. He's so great. You understand? Theoretically. Oh, well, you should try. You should do these exercises each time, and you will see that you're not able to. You'll come to us, to our workshops. I'm at the workshop. I'm telling you the impressions from yesterday. So at these workshops, through these exercises, you have to go through these things, and you have to receive this strengthening from the group, from the environment, that this is how you need to relate. So this will help us with this ulcer that I feel. It's not an ulcer, it's pleasure that you look at everyone and you'll see no flaw, because all the flaws that you will see are yours, are your own. And you'll see that the world is perfect for now. But how do I begin? I'm not there yet. Maybe that's the goal, that we hope that at the end of the course we'll feel this way. But meanwhile, on the way, I'm asking about this ulcer on the way. For now, I understood from yesterday that I need to say not a word of judgment towards her, put a plaster on your mouth. She's your mirror, and every moment you see a flaw in her, and now you need to internalize it. And for her, it's the same. Yeah, but I don't even know how to deal with myself. I haven't been saying anything to her since yesterday, not a word. So I'm already about to erupt. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. I will erupt. So there are a lot of psychological approaches that say that there are two types of people: the types that internalize things and keep them inside, and the type that say everything outside. And the ones that internalize and keep everything inside, finally it erupts and they lose control. Is that what you mean? That I need to accumulate, not even let out a word? Or is there something that I can? Because you said you shouldn't. It's just a mirror. You need to constantly be in this workshop between you. It's just like you do the workshops with us. You mean to exercise constantly, but what do I exercise? It's like you're in our workshops, that you speak in the correct way towards one another and talk about what you see in each other, and that it's a mirror for yourself and how the environment influences you and the person's ego and all kinds of things. If you discuss all these things, and you do these exercises all the time, and how you see the other and why not, this habit will become your second nature. You will internalize it, and the environment will influence you so that you won't forget it. And through that, you'll continue it at home. You're not leaving the workshop. We do the workshop here between us so that you will continue it all your life. A workshop is not from week to week. It's just like a diet. When you begin, and you don't leave it. If you leave it, then you're done. It's constant. The workshop is just in order to give you a push to go a little more, a little deeper, a little more precise. But really, you don't fall from this workshop. You continue it, and from workshop to workshop, you rise to higher and higher level. So, can I have an example? Do you have a certain example of, say, a judgment that you had towards me, or and simply to try it because I feel like I don't have an example. Start to talk to one another about what's wrong with the other. No, but even if we don't talk with us, she's represented. I'm representing all the men, and she's representing all the women. So give a typical example. I feel that you don't support me. I don't feel your support. Relate to him as if he supports you 100%. Speak to him like that, as if he supports you 100%. That he does support. You shouldn't tell him you don't support me. So my judgment you don't support, instead of judging him, I say to him, you do judge me. Say the opposite. Tell him thank you that you support me. Yes, yes. I'll think that she's laughing at me. That it will make me even crazier. I'll be sure that she came to laugh at me, to make a fool of me. Thank you for supporting me. And then what are you going to do back? How are you going to answer her? I'll close off even more, and intuitively I'll feel that she's making a fool of me, because of course she's being manipulative, but it's not manipulative. It's because she does this. She sees flaws in you. She internalizes them, and she tells you the correct things that are in you. That they are the true things in you. If she, as if she didn't have her ego. If she didn't have her ego, this is what she would see. I want to understand this game all the way. Wait a minute. You need to say the opposite of what you feel. I just want you to understand. We don't see the world. We see ourselves. This is exactly what I wanted to understand. Slowly, slowly. I don't see the world. I have a kind of filter here. Each person has it? Yes. I only see what's good for me and also what's bad for me. I stay away from what's bad for me and come closer to what's good for me. That's how I see the world. That's it. Clear? Clear. I have a filter then that shows me only what's good for me and what's bad for me? Yes. What is for my benefit? That's it. And the real world outside me, beyond my fingers, I don't know. I don't see it. I don't understand it. I don't know it. That is my egoistic desire, which shows me the world in this way. And now I receive this desire as bad, and I want to relate to the world as good. If I want to take off these egoistic glasses, what do? Instead of all the bad things, I say good things. And by that, I'm not lying to you, because I do this as a mother towards her child. I say to you, Oren, you're so good looking, you're so honest, you're so good, and so on and so forth. That's what you say after you've taken off the glasses? Yes. Because apart from me, the world is perfect. But look, I have these glasses, they're on me. But you want to see above them You want to be above your reason. So these glasses, I'm wearing them. They're the glasses of my of judgment, of your ego. This is where my ego is. So I look through these glasses at my partner, all kinds of flaws. Now lead me. What do I need to do? I need to say, Oren, remember, you learned that if they were actual glasses, you take them off, but the glasses are within you. So you need to say, instead of all the bad you see, say good. To her. No, to myself. I'm confused. To yourself. What does it mean that above all crimes, love will cover? That there are no crimes. There's love. You love everything in her. Not because you see bad things. You don't see them. But how did you take off the glasses? These physical ones, I just take them off. But how do you take off the internal ones? Because you say that it's not pretend. You really don't see these flaws anymore. The habit becomes a second nature. So I want that. So you should make the efforts until this happens. So now, from now on, you behave at home in a way that the other is perfect, that you're both perfect, and there is no problem between you, and you truly want to give the other maximum benefit, maximum help, and for the two of you to be like one body, not a physical body in bed, but an internal body. Clear? It's a mental body. So through these exercises, it will come true, but only with the help of the pressure from the environment, of course. And you don't leave or fall from this workshop. It's constant. And suddenly you see how nature from inside, from outside, begins to change. The world looks different. I look different to myself. And relationships, everything looks different. It's as is written, I saw an opposite world. It's opposite. I'm telling you, this thing is like a psychological exercise. It's also psychological, as Balasulam writes. It's very deep. We need the power of the society to influence us in such a way that we'll begin to do such exercises. I'm not talking about our internal environment, society. I'm talking about couples on the outside. We are 5 typical couples that we brought in from the outside. That's what we're talking about. But write down an addition. The condition is that the teacher in such a group must be from the BB group. Okay, I see that unfortunately our time is up. We will continue this in our next show. Thank you very much, Rav Leitman. Thank you, Nitsa. I hope everyone wrote down the exercise. I'll read it to you again if you didn't write it down. It's our homework for next time. From now on, we behave as if both of us are perfect. We have no problems between us. All we want is to benefit each other and to be as one body. And again and again and again until it comes true. We'll see you again next time. Till then, good luck.